is Patrick de Belen.
And we're two of the 4 coaches at the Poetry Save Their Lives project. Poetry Save Their Lives, also known as Peace Hall, is a very powerful project that started about 2 years ago. And it's just been bringing young people together to learn more about themselves through poetry. And as a young person, I remember growing up in Scarborough, and poetry really saved my life. It helped me to make some better choices, and I met some people who helped me move in the right direction. And to be able to do that for other young people is an honor. So I work at the I now work at the Malvern Library and the McGregor Library, and previously at the Flemington Park Library.
What's up? You guys look like very fancy today, and I wore a collared shirt because I was very fancy. But I still kept the jean cut-offs because it's hot outside still, even if it's fall. What's up? My name's Patrick. I'm one of the coaches. I am at Fairview Library on Mondays and Eatonville Library in Etobicoke on Tuesdays at 4:30 to 6:30. So if any of you want to write some spoken word, want to pen up some bars, holler at us, come to a workshop, see the ground level, you know what I mean? What's good down, yeah, we know what that means, ground level. Sorry. Real quick, we're going to share some poems for you and hope to entertain you in between all of your really impactful keynotes. But before we do that, I just want to say the quick thing is, myself, I'm not the kind of kid that would ever go to a library, to be totally honest with you. I was that kid in high school that was probably smoking weed behind it, making fun of all the libraries, until one day I met someone named Gail and Haney, who are staff in this library, who saw the impact and the importance of bringing in innovative programming and reaching young people in different ways that are currently not being done. And they realized that they could not do it because they were not in the spaces that Randall and I were from. And so they had the bright, awesome idea to hire us to be the ones to work in those communities. And it was a great idea. I mean, it didn't seem like it at first, but after they dealt with all the security stuff, it became awesome. And I just want to say that it was to see some people that look like me and act like me, to walk into those doors of that library and see that space, that institution as something that works for them and their community, was honestly incredibly powerful for me and gave me a newfound kind of confidence in my city because of what this program is. So thank you so much for doing that.
So thank you all very much for the opportunity for Poetry Save Their Lives. So this question's a little bit redundant. I'm in a room full of donors and philanthropists, but who here wants to leave behind a legacy? Cool. All right. And I think something that's really important as people, I often remind myself that as an artist, that living is an art, that there's an art to living, right? And what I do is I often sit back and remind myself that at the same time of being an artist, we are both the ones who are taking the paintbrush and painting, but also at the same time, the artists, the directors, and the actors at the same time, right? And I like to remind myself, and this poem really helps me. So this poem is for all of you who are leaving something behind. I often question if a coffin is where my legacy is destined. A rigor mortis reflection of me. Buried 6 feet deep in the 6, my legacy, my soul, awaiting the arrival of 12 disciples. And no remnants of me. No fruits of labor left from my seeds. Not leaving this world better than when I came in. My name forgotten. Not even whispered upon the lips of those my actions impacted. It's scary. I heard once that the worst thing that can happen to us when we die is not death itself. It is to be forgotten. And I cringe at the thought of my efforts lost in coffins, boxed in the same confines that caused me problems, my life, my beliefs encrypted on tombstone indicating the dates to and from. But I hope the dash in between represents more than just the good work I've done. My life blowing in the wind like the breath that has left my lungs, only to leave this world unfulfilled with holes in the potential I was given and respin in the same cycle to my children. See, when your time comes and your soul is sent, what will the dash on your tombstone represent? Thank you.
I'm gonna share one poem real quick, thank you so much. And then we have a youth who was part of our program when it first started with Pan Am Games. Maymuna is gonna come up here and share her final poem to kick it off, and then you guys can go back to schmoozing and stuff. And like, I'm gonna join you, I'm gonna join you, we're gonna schmooze, it's gonna be awesome, I can't wait. Hard time. All right, before that, there's some more talks though. So just, yeah, all right, here's another one. I always thought of myself as someone who was more than their art. But lately, I've been having a hard time watching the critics slowly tear my stories apart, and then go about judging the sharpness of every shattered fragment of my heart. Like, oh, he rhymes too much, he sounds too urban, his words aren't big enough, he's a little too cliche. So as my voice shakes, I'm reminded about how far from groundbreaking we really are. That I'm but a hairline fracture in terms of impact on this world with what I do. That rhyming words and saving kids is nothing different, it's nothing new. See, I get it. For someone who's so familiar with the feeling of never being enough, I should have known better than to depend on this. I don't remember the reason why I picked up a pen in the first place, and now not a day goes by where I don't feel like I should quit. But they told me to go back to the beginning. So, grade 4, I wrote my first poem to my Valentine's Day crush. I folded it in an envelope in a shiny red bag with a teddy bear plush toy, and I watched as she crumpled up the poem and laughed with her friends and tossed the gift down to my feet. 10 years later, my mother tells me that night, when I was asleep, she snuck into my room and made a copy and put it into a scrapbook with a message she wrote, "Patrick, your words will always be great, but it is your actions that will define you most." And I remember one of the first spoken word workshops that I taught in this school, this grade 12 ESL student asked if I could stay late in the classroom, and so I did. I watched as she struggled with limited English vocabulary and so much more, as she tells me that she was gay, that she'd never told anyone before, and though we never met, for some reason she felt like I knew the right way to help her put words together that could properly capture what she wanted to say to her 2 Chinese immigrant parents. And you know what? The raw and honest masterpiece that we created after was not even the best part. So the second half of the day was a showcase in front of high schools all across the region. In the middle of hosting the event, she tugs at my t-shirt and says, "Patrick, I want to read it." And I'm like, "You don't have to." And she says, "Isn't this the point of saying it out loud, to make sure kids just like me hear it?" And just like that, hands and knees shaking, young poet comes out of the closet in front of hundreds of kids her age. After a brief moment of silence, the auditorium erupts with crying students and teachers on their feet applauding, only wishing they could be as brave. So maybe I will never create a Beethoven's 5th Symphony of my own. Maybe Jenny's piece about coming out of the closet will be my greatest poem. Maybe Jeffrey's letter to his absent father will be my greatest mural painted. And Jessica's short story about her life in a wheelchair will be my statue of David in my Sistine Chapel. The masterpiece that I would create was it all happened at the same time, on the same mic, in the same damn place. So don't just judge me based on the sound of my gift, but what I choose to do with it. My words might not be poetic enough to make you question life itself, but they're real enough to make you question the way you choose to live it. Know me not as an artist, but a messenger who uses art for so much more. In which case, I would be so honored if you were to say that you've heard this all before. Thank you. This is Maymuna, thank you.
Oh my God. My name is Maymuna. I was in the first time, okay, so I'll just give a little background on myself. I've always had a passion for words and poetry and just rap. It was just something I was always interested in. And for years, like, I had this great admiration. And one day I walked into a library and there's this workshop, this poetry workshop, and Patrick was there. And my life just completely changed, if I'm being honest. Just to have somebody like Patrick and a program like that, like it was something I didn't have access to, and for me to start actually performing and competing in slams and, you know, improving my writing, I feel like that's what it's really about. You know, for like a girl like me, you know, just to be like, oh, like I really want to do that, and then from going to that point and now, you know, doing it, having shows, you know, from going to a workshop project to conducting my first workshop, it's just something I'm really thankful for. So I thank Patrick and the library so much. So I'm gonna share a couple of short poems. Here we go. My mother, she learned a whole language for you, and you speak her name unjustly. Her voice carries a comfort, a softness you think war would consume. She's learned how bodies can align with the earth, how to rest between bullets. I agonize over my mother, a young girl, laughing as she decorates the tips of her thumbs chestnut brown, not knowing the nation of poets will be rebranded into pirates. These are titles her tongue can hold. Okay, on to my second poem. The first time I thought about dying, I looked around, hoping nobody would notice what I've done. The imagery replayed in my head, and I asked God if there's a difference between those that long for heaven and the suicidal. If the only obligation life has is an end, shouldn't I be able to take them up on that offer? My brother whispers, it must be that time of month. And those that downplay the melancholy will wonder why you didn't tell no one. I mean, God must miss me. This ain't no call to prayer. This is a move in with me kind of gesture. I rediscovered the concept of suicide to be more peace than violence. In danger, a catalyst to comfort. You'll write about this sensation. You'll pray your blood keeps flowing like ink to this paper. Such liveliness does not exhaust so easily. Thank you.